So the database, and you've seen a glimpse of it. It's it's a platform for mapping, visualization. You can do some basic analysis and markup type stuff. But since I'm someone who always likes to know kind of what's happening behind the scenes of these whiz-bang things that people show, I thought I'd start with that and just show you a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes here. So you can see databasing at the bottom there, and I've got some arrows in here in terms of how these various other pieces fit together. First is ScienceBase here on the left, which is a USGS platform to store data and also create web mapping services. For those of you who don't know what a web mapping service is, it's essentially a broadcast of a data set that can be either pulled in or broadcast out over the internet and brought into either your desktop GIS or other web mapping applications on the internet. And so we're using that for a couple of reasons. One is that it's going to allow folks to search across all LCCs. There's 22 LCCs nationwide, and also the climate science centers are all using ScienceBase as a data management platform. And so that's where the mapping services, that's where we keep a lot of our data that we're distributing, and also that's where the web mapping services come into databasing. Our website we're also using to serve up downloads from some of the data sets that we're producing, because sometimes they have to be in a different format than what we're serving up on ScienceBase. And so if we've either added value to it or gotten a data set that doesn't exist elsewhere, that's where we're going to serve it. And also the partner downloads on the right. If someone else is maintaining a data set and it's their data set and they're continuing to update it and they own it, we prefer to just point to wherever they're serving it up rather than us trying to maintain that or maintaining it in two places. So for TNC is a good example. They have their conservation gateway. They put up data for download. They're not necessarily doing the web mapping services part of it, at least at the moment. So we do that piece, but then we point to their site for download, so we don't have to maintain that ourselves. I have this other, so the red line around the outside is kind of the core of what we're doing, and then we also have the ability to bring in other web mapping services for example, from ArcGIS Online. So people can go publish their own services there, and we can bring those in. In fact, I believe TNC is planning to use that platform. So eventually, we won't even have to do the web mapping services because they will have already published it, and we can just bring it in to our system. So that's the background, or what's happening in the background. And let me see if I can get the website to work. Okay, seems faster now. So I'm just going to do another whirlwind tour of the database and site. So this is run by an organization called Conservation Biology Institute out of Oregon, I believe, and mostly oriented around conservation. They have some 10,000 data sets up on here. This Conservation Planning Atlas is sort of our gateway for the North Atlantic LCC, where it's kind of limited down to give you the things that we think are of interest, or the data sets that we've put up. You can still access the other data sets that are on the Planning Atlas, but if you go to search for data sets, for example, the first thing you're going to get is just searching our CPA, but you can search all of Databasin if you want for data sets. Good, this is working well now. So just to give you a quick tour, there's some getting started things. There's videos, there's help, there's different tabs along the left here that tell you kind of what we're doing. You can search, you can explore sample maps, you can browse. maps and data sets are the most fundamental things. They have things called galleries, which are collections of maps and data sets. The groups we haven't really implemented, but that may be something we look at in terms of if we want to be able to restrict access to data. That's one of the ways that you can do that on the site. We also have an external resources page where we're just kind of collecting other sites and resources that might be of interest to our partners. So if there's sites or something that you'd like to have put on here, just let me know. So there's a Create tab, so you can create a map, you can import your own data sets. So as soon as you set up an account, you can import a data set into Databasin, and then if you want it to be posted here, you can let us know and we can post it on the Conservation Planning Atlas. So if you want to work with your own data set, you can't. You want to add your own data set to a map, you can do that, and that's what you'll find your data sets under My Workspace. So anything that you do under your user and you save it will get saved to your workspace, so you can keep track of what you've done. So I'll just take you to the Browse Datasets real quick here, and so obviously what we're doing with the North Atlantic is collecting a lot of data sets, often region-wide, so the 13 states and into Canada where we have it. We're collecting a lot of data sets from various sources that are relevant to conservation design in the Northeast. And so you can see we have a total of 94 data sets right now that are part of the CPA. Again, there's a lot in Databasin, but these are the ones that we've collected to be of interest to the Northeast, specifically in the North Atlantic LCC. So what I wanted to show you without spending too much time was a map that created for purposes of this demo, which is, oops, put this out of the way. So this is a map that's been created. You can see it's locked right now, so I haven't made this public yet because I wasn't sure about sort of the ability to distribute this data. And from here you can just open the map. It takes a second to get going here usually. And so you can start either at the map location, or you can start at the data set location. So if you want to find your data first, you can just say, you'll find your data set, and you can say open it in a map. So there's some help here, some navigation up at the top here about the basics. You can actually play a little, almost a video that shows you how to use some of the tools. But if you've ever used any online mapping at all, most of the stuff's pretty straightforward. Pan and zoom, that type of thing. There are some other tools here that are pretty interesting. So what we have here is I just downloaded the potential locations of vernal pools in Vermont and overlaid the Connecticut River watershed on top of it, just because that's one of the pilot projects we're working on in the North Atlantic, but just as a way to use the selection tool. So if I were to make any edits to this map, I could then save it and save it as I could save it in my own workspace. So come on, you see a map, you add a couple things to it, you save it, that becomes your own map, and then you can also add it back to the CPA if you want to, by notifying one of us, and we can add it for you. So you can add data sets, you can save your map, you can add it to galleries, etc., etc. I probably have some permissions that not everyone has here, but you can also use, you can create a drawing layer, you can do markups on the map, so you could mark up a map, save it again, and send the URL, send the link to somebody, say, look at my map, see what I've marked up. Can you check on these vernal pools or what have you? You know, can you go double check these in the field or something like that? So, so you got your legend over here. You've got your map data sets over here, and base maps. People are probably pretty familiar with this at this point. These are the standard Esri base maps that you get from online. So you can change what you have in the background. If you have a location that you want to go to, you can go to latitude, longitude, or location names. So you know, Mount Katahdin or what have you, you could type that in. There's this analyze button here, which is give you some very basic analysis tools. One is a buffer, so you can run, you know, similar to what you would do in GIS if you want to buffer a feature. The site assessment tool does a little bit more, and I'll just show that to you real quick. So in this example, you can use a drawing or you can use data that's already in the map. I'm going to make a new selection. So I'm going to select the Connecticut River Basin. So say my question was, I want to know how many potential vernal pools are in the Vermont side of the Connecticut River Basin. So to do that, I've selected my basin. I'm going to turn it off here because I just want to select out of the potential vernal pools. I'm going to pick, say we wanted to know the landowner names, for example. You could say what landowners are. This is not going to be relevant for this particular assessment, so I'll just leave that. And we run the analysis. Should just take a sec, and you get an output. So we can look down through here. We could find a name if we wanted to. We can also notice that out of this data set, there are total records. Oops, this is, no, I don't have the whole thing displayed here. Oh. It should have given me the total records.
The next scroll bar to
oh, here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thanks. So total number of features, and also, you know, you can see that out of that total, 1,500 don't have names in them. So take that for what it's worth, but I know that's sometimes a sensitive thing for landowners. So this could also, you know, operate on different types of data sets, polygons. You would, then the hectares would be more relevant if these were polygonal data sets, and that's I don't know, maybe that's a question for data development question in terms of, you know, points versus polygons, and are we going to try to accumulate both of them and where we can and have two different data sets, or what? That's, I guess, an open question at this point.
Good question. Some mapping project has polygons instead of points. But I think it's easy enough to just take a central.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'd say where we can get polygon data, why not get it? Because we can always generate the points, and then also we can enlarge the points or buffer them so that the exact locations aren't known, if that's what folks want to do. So, and I don't think I showed it to you, but you can export those results to a CSV file, or you can actually export it to a map as well. It'll output a map and show that table, and that's actually one of the cool things that you can do here is exporting your map. So you can export a live view here. So you get a PDF. You can get a PDF, or you can get a PNG, which would be appropriate for a website, or even a PowerPoint slide. So it'll actually just output directly a PowerPoint slide, which is pretty nice to have if you're putting together a presentation, you want to show a map.
BJ, if it's unlocked, can you export a shapefile of a subset?
Of a selection?
Yeah. No.
Yep.
No, you can't.
So see, I've got a selection right now, and so can you, is that visible? Yeah, you can see that. So you can export to a shapefile. So assuming the data set's been enabled for download.
Right, exactly.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
So so if we go to the, I'll just go to the dataset page real quick here, and if you click on details, it's going to give you a quick overview of what it is, and then if you click on there, it'll take you to the actual dataset page. So this is the sort of dataset description page. It'll just take a second to come up. But you get your description. There's your download button right here. So if you want to download the data, if it's been enabled to do so. Right now, this data set's available for download, but the Vernal pool data isn't. It's locked and it's private just to my user. So you can keep a data set private to your own user and not have it be public at all. Then it doesn't come up on searches or anything like that.
Are you pulling in all publicly available data at this point?
In terms of how we're approaching it right now, yeah.
So like MassGIS, you'll go on all their stuff?
Oh no. We're only we're focused on regionally consistent data sets at the moment. We're not doing individual state data sets that may or may not be consistent with other states. That's just too much. So we're really focused on that because that's kind of our mandate as a landscape level conservation. So there's the regional swap synthesis project, which is also where we're generating data and gathering data under that project, but also just the LCC in general, where we're getting data from the UMass Sustainable Landscapes Project, which Scott's going to talk about in a minute. And so that's really our focus, is to kind of, I don't want to say ignore state boundaries, but think about things in a bigger context than just the state boundaries.
But somebody could upload the MassGIS data, right?
For all I know, it could be up here already. I mean, right. So there's limitations on data sets. Like if you open just their free account, you get a gigabyte of storage. They want you to keep the data sets between or under 250 megabytes. So you really couldn't just take all these different data sets and just dump them up there. You have to get a premium account and get more storage space and all that, which is one of the reasons why we were using the Science Base, because we don't have to pay for the storage on that. I think that's about all the time I have. I'll just happy to take any more questions on this. We're going to talk more about this stuff later.